What's up, everybody? Sven Diesel here. I just can't sleep, so I happened to find this little piece of Bugger Hackle sitting right by my desk, and I also found some of this Schlappen. I know we use Schlappen because we love saying Schlappen, so I just wanted to see what I prefer to use for some buggers. These are not safety glasses. These are actually prescriptions. So it's late here and I need to be able to see. So I've got on some white. This is the Semperfly 8/0 waxed thread. And we're going to get a little bit crazy fun here. So I have a little bit of this. This is purple, a little flowy purple. And it's a pretty good clump there. That's almost perfect for a bugger tail. I can't believe that. But we want to get Justin, you go to bed, man. I'm going to cut out that tip, and then we're going to go ahead and tie this in roughly 1.5 the length of the shank. Yeah, we'll do that. And I'm just going to tie it in here at the back of the shank, have it go down the bend just a tad. Looks like spider web now. Dude, that's a bummer, man. That is a bummer, Matt. Okay, there's a nice little poofy tail. And we're going to complement it with this little bit of a lighter shade, just to, have a little bit of fun. And I'm going to have these be a little bit longer of flow. That's perfect right there. We're just screwing around tonight. It's a little bit early for some of you, maybe a little bit late for some of you. I will be up there, not this weekend, but next weekend. So coordinate accordingly. So once we get those two colors on, I'm just going to go ahead and clean that up. And the purpose tonight of this live feed is, I like how that burgundy is a little bit longer. That's exactly what I wanted. Justin Barnes is wondering when, if I'm going to be in Idaho, and I will be, but it doesn't matter because he'll never fish with me anyway. So it doesn't matter if we're both in the same. What's up, Jory? How are you, man? So what I do here is I got a strand of Crystal Flash in pearl, and I'm tying it in on my side of the shank, so it's going down the side like a lateral line. I'm fishing on Saturday, so if you're around, talk to Shane, because we've already talked, and he said it's likely going to happen. And then I'll just pull that Crystal Flash so it's just long enough to go to the longest fibers of that. And then I'll clean this up real nice. Okay. We need some wire. So we've got 0.2 millimeter Semperfly wire. And I like to keep it right here in this awesome little tool holder, vise stand. I'm going to cut off roughly, what is that? 17 centimeters. I'll tie it in on my side of the shank, and then bring it on my side all the way back. Okay, we are well into this. This is going to be a fun little comparison. So I've got this purple chenille I'm going to use for the underbody. Just going to cut off roughly that much. This is pretty easy peasy pumpkin squeezy. Just going to pull off the actual chenille, exposing the cord. You'll find you got two in there. And then I'm just going to tie in that cord. Oh man, I got ahead of myself. I forgot the whole point of this. I forgot our hackle. So make sure you tie that in before you tie in that. So all I'm going to do is just basically pull the fibers back, exposing the tip. And then I will orient this so that it's on top so I cannot get it in the way of my chenille. Making sure that's going straight back. Always pay attention to the other side of your fly. And then we'll advance our thread up to behind the bead. And we're golden. So let's lay down a little bit of super glue, which is the key ingredient for my buggers, because the last thing you want is for this to take a hit and everything slides back on you. It's just bonding everything together. And then I'll go ahead and start palmering this chenille. And I'm doing like basically 2 wraps back here where there's the hump, and then right here I'm going to tighten up my wraps to help with a uniform body. Then we'll go ahead and tie it off, not crowding that bead head. That's kind of key. So what's up, Bassart? All right, now we got our hackle. I'm just going to remember that I palmered the chenille this way, and so I'm going to wrap the hackle the opposite direction, so it's counter ribbing at this point. And bam, that's going smooth as butter. And then with all of my buggers, I usually do a full wrap in the front, preen those fibers back, and then come around a second time just to make it nice and sexy. Okay. And then I'll pull that fiber back, do a couple wraps, secure that hackle with some wraps behind and in front. Go ahead and trim it out at this point, get it out of my way. Now, because we wrapped the chenille this way, the hackle this way, I'm going to wrap the wire the same way I did the chenille. And as I do that, I'm just going to weave it in and out, trying to minimize the amount of fibers. Fishing is my hobby, Bassart. It's not my profession. My profession is in the automotive industry, and I fish so that I'm not stressed out. And, that's a pretty fun industry to be in for stress, because there's a lot of demand on people wanting their vehicles and wanting the correct parts. And so we have a lot of fun with that. So go ahead, do some wraps in front, behind. We got enough wire here. We're going to do a second one. And then for those of you that just joined in, we're just going to tie some flies. Aloha. John, are you in Hawaii right now? That would make sense, because normally you're not up this late. All right, we got the orange thread on there. We're just going to go ahead and palmer that around. Get all those fibers going back. Got a little bit of a hot spot. Oh, cool, man. Well, eat some banana pancakes with coconut syrup for me, dude. All right, I just got to find my whip finisher. Love my whip finish tool. Yeah, I was surprised. I figured you were not in Utah, because it's too late for you here. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Family Tie Flies is on. He's a Utah guy. He's up too late. All right, now with most of my buggers, I just grab a little bit of UV resin, put a little dab here on top, let it soak in. And I'm trying to open up to get out. There we go. Go ahead and cure that up. And there we go. There's a quick little purple bugger that is used using the Bugger pack. And so let's go ahead and set that a little bit off to the side. Looks pretty good. I like that I've got the two-tone tail, slightly longer. It's going to give a nice little taper. That's going to be nice. That will catch some fish, especially the dumb ones. All right, now just for comparison, we're going to do this one with a really freaking sick oversized hackle. And then I'm going to go to bed. I just had to hit the vise real quick. So got a gold bead on a hook. And I always get asked why I love tying buggers. I fish the heck out of them. It's a pretty good pattern, pretty good. I've caught a lot of fish on them, and they're super quick and easy to tie. You can whip up a whole bunch of different colors real fast and head out and fish. And I don't think I've ever gotten, as they say, skunked using woolly buggers. Maybe I've had to switch varieties a few times, but all right, we got our purple. This is our hot purple. Look at that. That's perfect. Go 1.5 length, the overall length of the shank. Come up and over, pinching it, wrapping it up. Go ahead and trim this out. And then I'm kind of pulling it back, and I'll wrap it into the bend and then back up. I'm really surprised there's people on this late. I was kind of hoping that no one would be on in case I screw up playing around here. I'm going to go a little bit lighter on this one, but we're basically going just a tad bit longer than our purple, keeping it on the top of the shank the whole way back and securing it right there at the bend. We'll go ahead and trim that out. Oh, that's money right there. That looks good. Slightly longer, help with the taper. All right, we're going to grab up one little crystal flash strand here, pull it out, fold her in half, and then to simplify things so they don't twist up, I just cut it. And then what I'm going to do is make sure I've got plenty on each end. I'm going to place it on my side, pinch it in place, and then I'll go ahead and secure that all the way back so it's coming right down the middle on the side. And I'll show you here on this side here because I'm going to fold this side up, bring it over, and secure it right here in the middle point going straight back, and then I'll clean that up. Stroke the tail, cut these just longer than the marabou. Family Flies Ties. He's got all the power bit I need. He speaks my language. All right, now I'm going to tie this in the right order this time, but I've got my wire here. I'm going to leave it on the top of the shank. I'm going to get out a really, really freakishly sweet Schlappen feather here. Oh yeah, these are money. These are huge. Look at that thing. So we're just going to size it so you can see right there. Oh, that's going to be awesome. This one looks almost perfect. All right, so I don't need this whole feather. So I'm just going to tie it in somewhat by the tip. Right there, about. Go ahead and trim that. Tie it in with the concave folding over the tail. And you'll see why here in a second, because when I start wrapping it, I want to make sure it's good to go. And I got a little bit of the chenille left. I'll go ahead and use this as well. Get my thread back here, tie that in on the top. Nice securing wraps, cranking down, working my way up right behind the bead. All right. All my buggers, I'll repeat this 100 times, probably for the rest of my life. I just laid down a little bit of super glue, letting that embed into the thread, bonding everything together, and hopefully soaking through far enough to the shank. Pay attention to which way I'm wrapping. I'm wrapping towards me, and I'm doing, because there's a hump in the back, I space that out, and then as I get off the hump, I do tighter wraps, working my way right up to behind the bead, but leaving I mean, I could do one more wrap potentially, but I'm not going to. Okay, greeting from Luxembourg. Welcome. All right, so we wrap towards me. So now with the Schlappen, I'm going to wrap away from me. And you want to make sure with this Schlappen, you're preening it back as you go. Man, this is a really good piece. This would be killer on some other like salmon flies. But we're using it on this bugger. Look at that. It is just a hot mess. And since this is the Schlappen, I don't need to do a couple wraps here at the front. I'm just going to do one full wrap, making sure I cover up that whole head. And then I'll kind of separate these fibers out, trying to figure out where that tie-in point will be. And I think I found it. Bring my thread straight up, work it over that stem, and then, of course, come in front of it. The Schlappen's definitely some messy Schlappen. Got my wrap in front, and we can trim that out. Now be careful we don't cut our thread, and then we don't lose all our Schlappen. Man, that looks sexy. Okay, then I'm going to make sure I get that tag end down. Last thing we want is for this to come out, and then I'm going to kind of pull that. Look at that. That is much, much flowier. Okay, so I wrapped away from me, so now I need to counter wrap this, wrapping towards me, and this is going to be hard to do because we're going to trap a ton of fibers. Usually with longer Schlappen like this, I don't counter wrap them just because it's such a quick tie. But as you can see, I'm just kind of separating this as I'm working my way around, just trying to make this as durable as possible. You could use your bodkin at this point. I've got to really kind of focus on not trapping all the fibers. So let's work our way through. We're almost there. And then when we're done with this, we'll have to brush the heck out of it. Let's see. It's a lot easier to counter rib this with a good Bugger Hackle. But this is going to be a flowy mess that is going to just scream, come take a bite out of this. All right. I'm going to separate that, divide and conquer. And then we're up at the head, which is perfect. Stroke everything back. Man, that is sexy. Do one full wrap around. Cover it with our thread. Go back behind it. Cover it again with some nice wraps. Go ahead and trim this out. And then cut our wire. Little trick, make sure you push that wire down with your thumb so it's not pokey. And then clean it up. There we go. Got it. Okay. Now we're just doing a little orange hot spot, so I'm just coloring my white Simperfly wax thread. I'm going to build up a nice collar on this. And I got my thread out pretty far, but I really need to kind of fill this gap. I'll inspect the other side because the fish care if it's not orange all the way around. Okay, we got a nice coating there. Go ahead and grab our whip finish tool. Hold all your fibers back. Careful not to trap any. Boom. Man, look at that thing. I really like it. I love Schlappen buggers. This is a strung Schlappen, 7 to 9 inches. That looks freaking money. When that gets wet, you're going to have a little bit of that gold showing through. Let's go ahead and just apply a little bit of this UV resin right here on the head. Let it soak in. Little trick if you want it to be a little bit bigger of a head, just take your fingers, pinch around the fly. Before you cure it, push towards the bead, and it kind of causes those fibers to stick up and then go out because the resin absorbs into it. That's just a little trick. I don't know how well it will hold up, once you get it wet like crazy, but I have more confidence doing it this way. And then make sure you're being careful of the hook gap. You don't want to, resin them all the way down. So, all right. So let's grab our little Velcro brush. This is just a little Velcro brush, pretty cool. And I'm just going to try and brush out any of those trapped fibers. Because we use the wire, we can be a little bit more aggressive on this versus tip it, in my opinion. And man, that thing is just perfection right there. Look at that. So when this gets wet, it is just going to look like a freaking leech. So we have the Schlappen versus the Bugger. You can see this one will look a little bit more like a leech. You have a really nice taper. You'll get accents of the underbody chenille, which has a little bit of flash in there. Kind of hints a flash, whereas here you're getting a lot more caterpillar look. But to be honest, I generally have more hookup ratios, or I've caught more fish on style like this, but I think that's because I tie more of this style versus this style. So maybe what I need to do is add a box of these, and that's something I can work on. But this is just going to get crushed, either one. And I like that I add a little bit of tone in here because it gives a little bit of a highlight. If anybody wants to watch this at a later date and time, this is being streamed also on YouTube. And so I got Lee Harrison is on the YouTube. Left a comment. It says it looks great. So I appreciate that. But it's getting late. I think it's almost 1 o'clock my time. And I got to work, get up at 6 a.m. So thank you for sticking around. I just wanted to tie a flies showing a hackle versus a Schlappen woolly bugger in the same everything except for, of course, the hackle. So there you go. There you go. And thanks for watching. You guys have a good night.